Good morning, everyone. It is 7:30 a.m. and if it feels like I'm shouting, my mic arm broke, so I'm trying to compensate my mic not being as close as normal. But anyway, let's get started. Finished up my 5th week at Lambda. Went really well. Finally got into JavaScript as opposed to HTML and CSS. This makes me happy because I am much more of a logical programmer than a designer. So I'm starting to get into the area where I'm a little bit more comfortable, but let's go over what we did this week. So the first half of the week, the first couple of days, was pretty basic stuff. We went over variables, objects, arrays, and functions. Then we dug a little deeper, talked about object literals, as well as some basic array methods, which are always handy. Worked through a little bit of a project on just that. Started to understand the difference between block scope and local scope and global scope and functional scope. All those wonderful things and how it relates to your code and your program and everything within that and how it all relates to one another. And then the second half of the week. Now this is where things got pretty fun for me, because some of these topics I knew, some of them I didn't, but even the ones that I did, have some familiarity with, I got to go a little bit deeper in and learn how to use more effectively. We talked about closure, which is still kind of it's a topic I'm a lot better at using in my code than explaining to people, but it's basically a way for a function to reach up. Okay, let me start that over. It's basically if you have a function nested in another function, the nested function can reach up out of its local scope, in a way, and remember a variable that was defined in the outermost function. And it allows just kind of a transfer of information, because a variable can remember where it was declared at, and then can be used again going down into some local scope. Apparently this is not necessarily unique to JavaScript, but it is unique to certain languages. Not all of them have this functionality. The other thing we talked about was callback functions, which is when a function accepts another function as a parameter. This is actually pretty handy because it can allow you to kind of abstract or generalize certain functions and give them just a little bit broader range of application. And then after callbacks, we talked about some advanced array methods, which rely on callbacks, which is why we didn't go over them with the other array methods. But this is things like filter and map and reduce, where you have an array and then let's say you want to map it, which allows you to pass in a function into the map method, and it will apply that function to each item within the array, and things like that. So the project was basically just about 10 to 15 coding challenges. That you would go through and use different methods that we talked about, or make a callback function, or kind of implement closure, things like that. Really fun. The stretch challenges for this week was rather easy for me because it was just to look up and implement ES6 arrow functions or fat arrow functions. This is something I've already been doing in my code because I learned about it prior to Lambda. And it's possibly my favorite ES6 feature, to be honest with you, because arrow functions is a great way to clean up your code and make it just a lot more readable without some of the unnecessary just fluff that can come with defining a function. So that kind of sums up my 5th week here at Lambda. It's kind of crazy that it's been 5 weeks already. But, so going into week 6, we'll continue JavaScript fundamentals. I know we're going to be talking about like this keyword, we're going to be talking about prototyping, and moving a little further that way before getting into applied JavaScript, which is going to use things like the document object model and things of that nature. But we'll talk about all that when we get there. Thank you for watching this video. If you have any questions for me or about programming or about Lambda, feel free to leave them in the comments and I will do my best to answer your question. I think that's all I have this time. Bye.